We frequently consider our relationships to be only ordinary extensions of our daily lives, hardly ever pausing to think about their significant influence on our well-being. But what if I told you that your connections could be the single most important thing standing in the way of your quest for a today? We delve deeply into the wisdom of Stoicism and live happy and contented lives, ancient philosophy that teaches us about the importance of peace and resilience in the midst of hardship, as well as the significance of surrounding oneself with those who genuinely value and enhance our living a Stoic life means realizing what's important in life rather than just enduring hardship, genuinely advantageous for our moral growth and mental peace. In this video, we'll look at the 12 obvious indicators that could mean it's time to reconsider certain relationships, perhaps even going so far as to walk. By the way, this is about actively avoiding bad influences rather than just avoiding them. Join me in choosing a route that is in line with justice, courage, moderation, and wisdom. As we make sure that every action we do as we uncover these insights is not simply in the path of inner tranquility, as well as a deeper comprehension of what Stoicism says about leading a happy life. Whether you're looking to develop stronger bonds with others or muster the bravery to make tough choices, this conversation will provide you with both. The resources and viewpoints required to change how you handle interpersonal relationships. Let's set out on this path together to understand how to sever ties with kindly guard our most valuable possession, our peace of mind. If you like what we're doing, the easiest thing you can do to help us out for free is to click the subscribe button. In order to ensure that you fully understand the essence of the discussion we're going to have, please don't skip any section of the video. Possess the greatest continuous deficiency in persistently showing disrespect. Respect is a basic component of any healthy relationship. In the context of Stoicism, relationship is the cornerstone around which all other interactions are constructed, corresponds well with the virtue of justice, which demands that we treat people fairly and with dignity. Thus, when we discuss the ongoing disrespect, which is a serious transgression of both interpersonal principles and Stoic ideals, picture yourself continuously being treated without the minimal decency you extend to others. It's like having your self-worth slowly eroded. Not only is it uncomfortable, but this persistent violation of one's dignity is a warning that the partnership is not in line with the Stoic goal of leading a moral life for Stoics everywhere. Interaction offers the chance to put virtues like justice and wisdom into practice, and when someone treats you poorly repeatedly, they treat you disrespectfully, which not only compromises your health, but also makes it difficult for you to live your life. As when we come with such disdain for these values, whether it is through words, deeds, or just plain disregard, it's a clear sign that something essential is being missed. Stoicism teaches us not to respond in a natural but ineffective way with rage or hatred. Instead, it directs us to react in a rational, judgmental, and effective manner. Detachment entails acknowledging the disrespect for what it is. Divergence from moral behavior. It's not about assigning blame or turning into angry, but also about realizing how other people's deeds affect our ability to live fulfilling lives and make cool decisions, and logically, if such connections ought to keep playing a big part in our lives. Recognizing and dealing with persistent disrespect is more than just a reactive measure. Stance is a preventative step to protect one's morality and mental tranquility. Integrity is the ability to make decisions that are consistent with Stoic principles, not to settle for less than you deserve, and, if needed, to withdraw in order to stay. This is more than just self-serving. It's living up to your ideals of justice and dignity. Safeguarding yourself is a declaration of your value and dedication to the Stoic pursuit of second virtues, detrimental implications on mental health, adverse impacts on mental well-being. Health. People around us can have a significant and enduring impact on our mental health. Stoicism teaches us the value of preserving our tranquility, or our state of being composed and undisturbed, recognizing and controlling emotions rather than repressing them successfully, particularly when others are impacted by them. If you discover you regularly experience anxiety, depression, or stress as a result of someone's influence in your life, it's an obvious indication that Stoicism may not be working in the partnership. Just teaches us to overcome adversity and cultivate situations that improve our relationships and that systematically deplete your emotional stamina or leave you feeling reduced may make it more difficult for you to lead a peaceful and meaningful existence. Stoics hold that internal factors, as opposed to external ones, have a greater influence on our well-being. But they also acknowledge that it is our responsibility to shield our inner tranquility from upsetting influences. Sergio, one of the most well-known Stoic thinkers who is frequently mentioned, the value of surrounding ourselves with positive and inspiring individuals, and the suggestion that we keep our distance from those who inflict negativity on us. Considering the consequences of interaction with your mental health goes beyond simply recognizing your bad feelings. It's important to act to make sure they don't hold you captive, imply establishing limits, or even putting distance between you and people who regularly disturb your peace of mind. By doing this, you're actively attempting to avoid discomfort rather than passively pursuing a life characterized by Stoic virtues and picking a route that reason, emotional forbearance, and, most importantly, serenity. When a relationship persistently compromises your mental well-being, it's time to reflect and possibly adjust. Your social ties are a deliberate move rather than a sign of weakness. Choice to promote a happier, healthier lifestyle, which is the most important Stoic practice number 3. Objective is not aligned values that are out of alignment. Fundamental principles and beliefs serve as a compass for navigating the intricacies of life, assisting us in making choices that are compatible with our core values and identity. When these principles are applied consistently, conflict with those of a loved one, it can result in serious internal conflict. Stoicism emphasizes personal peace and harmony highly. Integrity is what makes these misalignments more than just a minor inconvenience. The Stoics taught that leading a life of virtue brings about mental tranquility according to the real principles. When a family member adheres to a set of ideals that are at odds with our own, make it difficult for us to uphold this. For instance, if integrity is important to you, yet someone close to you frequently distorts the facts, and this basic disparity can lead to a continuous source of unease and anxiety over time. These disputes can damage trust and reciprocity, which are crucial components of any wholesome partnership. More deeply, Stoicism invites us to consider our relationships and make sure they support our moral and personal goals. Growth. Marcus Aurelius frequently discussed the value of surrounding oneself. When our basic beliefs do not align with those of others, we might surround ourselves with conform to those of our associates. It may impede our advancement as Stoics because we can discover ourselves compromising these principles or residing in a situation of ongoing moral disagreement. Resolving these discrepancies entails carefully analyzing the relationship. It could call for candid and open dialogues in which both sides can share their ideals and explore whether a compromise or mutual understanding is achievable. But if the gap is too great, it might be required to think again about the importance of the relationship in your life. This isn't about labeling the other person as bad, rather realizing that not all relationships are necessary for your personal and ethical growth. Misaligned values must be identified and addressed, not only for preserving internal harmony, as well as making sure that our interactions help us on our path to leading moral and satisfying lives. This alignment is essential to the Stoic objective of peace and, in the end, contentment. Number 4, continuously feeling exhausted all the time. In any wholesome partnership, the energy exchange need to be. When you communicate with someone, it should seem energizing rather than draining. Steadily depleted, which is a key clue that the dynamics of the connection might not be in line with Stoic ideals, which place a high Stoicism's philosophy of self-present preservation via peaceful, reasoned life emphasizes the need of upholding our inner strength and prudently applying it. Stoic thinkers, such as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, stressed the importance of being in partnerships that are, instead of those who deplete our physical or emotional reserves, when you find yourself, those who are supportive and reciprocal, feeling exhausted after speaking with someone, is more than just a small annoyance. It's a significant drain on the exact tools needed to lead a decent, fruitful life. In the words of Stoic principles that are continuously depleted might appear in a number of ways, including mental exhaustion, anxiety about future interactions, or even physical exhaustion fatigue. These signs point to the relationship's potential costs, which Stoics would contend include every relationship is inappropriate and unsustainable in the eyes of Stoicism. Should improve your well-being and aid in your development into a more morally upright person. In these cases, taking appropriate action entails carefully assessing whether the reason the relationship drains you is because of an absence of reciprocal assistance, one-sided conversations, or possibly both. Finding the source of a person's persistent negativity or demands is the first step. Stage in choosing how to handle the situation, whether it's by having an open dialogue about your emotions, establishing more rigid limits, or, in certain situations, if the relationship shows irreversible thinking about removing yourself to protect your tranquility and well-being, while handling these taxing interactions are about more than just clearing the negative out of your life. They're about allowing space for more fulfilling, encouraging, and significant connections that support the Stoic principles of tolerance for one another and individual development. A relationship should improve your life, not hinder it, so that you can prosper and make a constructive contribution to the 5. The lives of those who are close to you, manipulation in the Stoic domain, the search for clarity and honesty. Above all, these characteristics enable us to live in accordance with who we really are, and however, the manipulation of the environment around us is in stark contrast to these principles. It warps reality, changing it to the advantage of. This distortion might result in the manipulator benefiting at the expense of the controlled. Making choices that are not beneficial for you will impair your judgment and divert you from the Stoic ideal of leading a morally upright life. Manipulation in relationships frequently incorporates deceptively subtle psychological strategies that can be difficult to identify, be obvious as lying, or as covert as guilt-tripping or gaslighting someone when the truth is distorted. And for Stoics, your senses or memories are questioned, highlights a crucial issue that Stoicism emphasizes the need of observing things as they actually are, free from outside distortions. When someone deceives you, they are enforcing their will and interfering with your capacity to think and form conclusions based on real views. Handling manipulation necessitates a strict adherence to Stoic ideals, seek the truth, live with integrity, and preserve your independence. This may include making explicit setting limits with the manipulator or increasing your awareness of the telltale symptoms of manipulative behavior is vital. To reaffirm your principles and make a commitment to acting in accordance with them instead of responding rashly to the deceptive strategies that manipulation additionally incorporates, the Stoic exercise of contemplation. Looking at the nature of the partnership and how you respond to it in this thoughtful exercise can assist you in determining if the partnership can be saved by open communication and a mutual dedication to change, or whether it would be better to keep your distance in Stoicism. maintaining one's moral integrity and mental well-being frequently calls for making tough but essential choices, particularly when it comes to shielding oneself from dangerous influences. Breaking free from controlling relationships is more than just getting away from bad influences. It's concerning realigning oneself with the Stoic objective of leading an honest and genuine life. This realignment in life enables improved decision-making, more coherent thought processes, and a deeper sense of tranquility, all of which are essential components of the Stoic method of sixth life lesson. Lack of trust is more than simply an absence of faith. Connection is the fundamental building block of all relationships. Within the framework of Stoicism, trust is consistent with the virtue of justice, which prioritizes equity, truthfulness, and dependability, is a necessary component of any meaningful and deep relationship. Relationships lacking trust are unstable and rife with uncertainties and fears that prevent real closeness and connection. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to be trustworthy and sincere, not only because these are admirable traits, but also because they provide a space where trust can flourish. When Stoic principles aren't being kept in a partnership, trust is frequently missing. Absence can cause a chain reaction of unfavorable feelings and actions, where openness is replaced by skepticism and fear. Surpasses hope, and rather than moving forward in unison, people can discover yourself defending against possible betrayal at all times, and dealing with the lack of trust entails going back to Stoic ideals. It necessitates an honest evaluation of oneself and conversation. Do my acts contribute to this lack of trust? Am I acting in as honest and trustworthy as I can be? Stoicism pushes us to deal with these, asking direct questions and promoting a return to honesty and openness as the process of restoring confidence in the event that the other party is the source of the problems. A Stoic person could address the circumstance with compassion and understanding while maintaining the firmness to set required boundaries, which could entail starting challenging talks to identify the underlying causes of the trust issues, or it might imply taking firm action in some situations if those problems are determined to be insurmountable and sustaining. It could be necessary to keep your distance for your own mental health and Stoic principles. Removing oneself from situations where trust cannot be rebuilt. Trust is essential not just for the longevity and well-being of partnerships, as well as for the Stoic discipline that cherishes tranquility that results from being aware of being in a dependable and safe relationship. While when trust is lacking, there's a good reason to reassess and perhaps recalibrate. The dynamics of the partnership in line with Stoic principles. This process involves more than merely improving interpersonal relationships, but also about staying loyal to oneself and abuse of anyone's own philosophical commitments. Number 7, misuse. Stoicism categorically denounces abuse of any kind, whether it be psychological or physical. All said, these behaviors go counter to the Stoic dedication to treating everyone with respect. Abuse in any kind occurs to human beings who possess inherent worth and consideration. Undercuts the fundamental idea of what it means to lead a moral and fulfilling life in Stoic contemplation. Suffering abuse is never viewed as a prerequisite. Stoics support the preservation of Marcus Aurelius, prioritized personal well-being and self-respect above all else, stressed how crucial it is to keep one's inner citadel intact by outward injustices and calamities, such as this inner citadel's abuse symbolizes our capacity to uphold our moral standards and safeguard our mental. Peacefully identifying and dealing with any abuse is essential, not just for the purpose of preserving one's dignity and mental health, in addition to one's own safety. The Stoic response to such transgressions entails a swift and evident removal from the cause of abuse, is not about getting even or holding grudges. Rather, it's about making the sensible choice to leave dangerous situations that breach the Stoic precepts. The act of removing oneself from abusive situations also complies with the Stoic self-care regimen, which is crucial for cultivating a life of virtue. It's about taking proactive measures to protect one's well-being and making sure that relationships and surroundings support favorably to one's ethical and philosophical objectives. If you find yourself when you are being abused in any way, it is imperative that you take protective measures. Stoicism is more than just accepting oneself and getting help when necessary. Adversity, stoically. It also emphasizes the value of behaving sensibly and bravely in the face of unfair treatment, always keeping one's dignity and well-being in mind. Well-being which may entail contacting dependable family members, acquaintances, or experts who may offer assistance and direction in completing the required steps to guarantee safety and regard. Number 8, lack of development or mutual lack of development support for Stoicism. Moral and personal development are not only welcomed, but fundamental to the philosophy's lessons on leading a moral life. Stoics hold that there are always opportunities for growth and development in life, highlighting the need of providing each other in our journeys toward morality and knowledge. Thus, when a partnership is lacking growth or mutual assistance, which runs counter to these Stoic principles, perhaps impeding your own growth, Stoic thinkers such as Epictetus and Seneca frequently talk about the idea of mutual collaboration, highlighting how relationships play a part in our moral education and self-improvement. A partnership should be based on mutual challenge and support between the two people. This support goes beyond simply giving in order for us to grow as better people. Encouragement in trying times, which entails actively participating in mutual development through open communication, experiences, and ongoing encouragement to stay true to your values in a relationship. When you are not progressing or receiving assistance for your progress, it can seem as though you are stuck in one spot. While the world progresses, this immobility may appear as a sense of an overall feeling that things are not as good as they could be, a sense that your potential is being restricted or satisfying as they could be in Stoic practice. This situation necessitates reflection and action evaluation, assessing the reasons behind this stalling and directly addressing them, and the lack of development and assistance could entail striking up candid discussions regarding your needs and expectations. It could also entail reframing the objectives of the partnership, or in certain situations realizing that the partnership might not be beneficial to your growth. Stoicism teaches that occasionally the most brave, and it is appropriate to cut ties with those who are no longer helpful. The greater goal of leading a moral life for Stoics, every relationship provides an opportunity to put values into practice and support one another as they progress toward wisdom and happiness. A connection that doesn't help you achieve your objective could be a barrier rather than merely a neutral element in your life. Requires revaluation, thus identifying and resolving the absence of development and assistance is not just about pursuing fulfillment on a personal level, but about matching your relationships with your core principles and pursuing the Stoic goal of a prosperous, consistently acting selfishly is life number 9 in the Stoic philosophy. Persistently self-centered actions. Relationships are thought to be important settings for putting values like generosity, justice, and reciprocity into practice. Partnership is, in fact, a two-way street with constant selfish behavior exchanged in both directions. Thus, a relationship is in stark contrast to Stoic ethics, which stress the significance of reciprocal benefits and acknowledge that this disparity not only compromises the integrity of the connection, but it also impedes moral and psychological growth, which are essential to Stoic philosophy when one side continuously puts their own demands first. When wishes above the other person's, it upsets the balance required for any successful relationship. As Stoicism teaches, we know that virtue is found in moderation, self-control, and relationships. Refers to each party viewing the other's well-being as being on par with their own. If a relationship is characterized by continual self-centeredness, creates an environment that fosters animosity and discontent, which can weaken the relationships based on love and trust, that gradually overcome recurrent self-centeredness, demands sincere contemplation and dialogue. Stoic methods would inspire people to communicate their concerns in a cool, collected manner, emphasizing the behavior's effects rather than placing blame. This is about starting a conversation aimed at re-establishing equilibrium and fostering a more giving spirit inside the interaction. But Stoicism also acknowledges the significance of individual autonomy and self-respect. If attempts are made to bring things back into balance, demonstrate that futile Stoicism promotes the discernment to know when a circumstance is outside of one's control and when it could be wise to keep a distance from interactions that, from a Stoic perspective, are inherently unknowable. Interaction is a chance to put virtue into a polluted relationship. Continuous selfishness is a philosophical issue as well as a personal one. It is a barrier to leading a fulfilling life that is characterized by support and respect for one another. And the ongoing development of each person concerned in identifying and resolving such difficulties is about upholding standards as well as making sure one is personally happy. A decent and moral lifestyle that benefits oneself and others, damaging exchange of ideas. Number 10 of the Stoic philosophy's harmful communication. The importance of wisdom and reason extends to communication. Any partnership should include honest communication that is also upbeat, productive, and constructive. With the Stoic notion that our speech should be a reflection of our virtues, and that we can either and encourage others, or disparage and undercut them in a persistently negative way. Communication styles that damage relationships include belittling, sarcasm, and criticism. Basic foundations of understanding and respect that sustain a positive connection. When communication gets consistently damaging, it can do more than just inflict immediate harm, drastically change people's perceptions of one another, undermining affection and trust over time. The Stoic solution to this issue would include a careful analysis of Stoicism, teaches us to be in charge of not just what is said, but also how it is conveyed. Our responses and carefully select our words to make sure they are consistent with our values of love and justice, which entails actively working to infuse our discussions with encouragement and positivity, as well as when conflicts, addressing them with the goal of mending disagreements and re-establishing communication instead of winning the dispute or disparage the other person. Addressing and changing harmful, deliberate effort is needed for communicating. This may include setting specific objectives for speaking and responding in talks, engaging in active listening, or even looking for outside assistance, similar to therapy to enhance communication abilities. The Stoic practice of self-reflection is essential. It entails evaluating our own communication styles on a regular basis and thinking about whether attempts at transformation are in line with our moral and intellectual objectives. Communication styles do not result in improvement. Stoicism acknowledges this as well. Significance of safeguarding one's well-being. When unfavorable communication is persistent and harmful, it may be vital to keep oneself apart in order to maintain one's peace of mind. And clearly, this choice is not made with Stoic wisdom in mind. Light-heartedly, yet is regarded as an essential step in upholding a moral life free from constant discord. Number 11, contempt for private disdain for individual needs, respect for one's own needs and boundaries is regarded as necessary in Stoicism. Vital for preserving harmony and self-respect in partnerships, disregarding or trivializing. These elements have the potential to cause major imbalances that encourage an atmosphere of dissatisfaction and disrespect. The Thrive Stoic philosophy promotes mutual respect and open communication as the cornerstones that wholesome relationships ought to be built upon. When someone persistently ignores or minimizes your needs, it makes it evident that the organization does not value your well-being. This disrespect for the partnership can show out as frequent overstepping borders, either by acting unilaterally and affecting both parties, or by failing to recognize and affirm your preferences and thoughts. Such actions not only erode a partner's sense of equality and trust, but also a person's sense of value and independence. Important elements that Stoics work to preserve resolving these concerns entails starting with a Stoic recognition and affirmation of your own wants and boundaries viewpoint. This is about taking care of oneself, not about being selfish. If maintaining peace does not come at the expense of your moral and emotional integrity, the next action is to express these demands to your companion or partner in a straightforward and firm manner. Instead of becoming combative, this conversation should be conducted with the goal of educating the other person about your demands and the reasons behind them in order to keep your connection strong, even if the disdain for your personal requirements persists in the conversations. It can be important to reevaluate the dynamics of Stoicism's relational lessons, emphasize the need of surrounding oneself with individuals who enrich one's life if a partnership continuously falls short of this. When a criterion produces more chaos than calm, it could be best to remove it. Oneself, this is a deliberate choice to put one's own needs first, rather than an act of hostility or abandonment. Health and moral integrity are essential components of a Stoic life, yet Stoicism respects social relationships and encourages facing hardship head-on with bravery and resilience. It also highlights how crucial it is to live authentically. Principles a partnership that essentially ignores a person's needs is probably incompatible with the Stoic goal of a peaceful and virtuous life. Number 12. Lack of reciprocity, lack of reciprocal responsibility. In any relationship, reciprocal accountability is not only advantageous but also necessary. Stoicism teaches us that taking responsibility for our actions is a basic virtue. This reciprocal accountability respect, which is essential for any solid, long-lasting relationship. When there is a lack of accountability, it can result in a collapse in these vital relationship pillars that results in recurring miscommunications and erodes trust that serves as the cornerstone of all constructive relationships in Stoic practice. Someone is urged to consider their choices and accept accountability for them. This entails admitting when one's deeds have harmed another and offering compensation when necessary. If this quality is lacking in a relationship, it may result in a one-sided dynamic where one or both parties believe they are not valued or heard. This disparity is extremely unstable because, in a Stoic sense, interpersonal connections ought to be a source of mutual support and growth, helping each individual to better align with their virtues. Addressing a lack of mutual accountability involves open, honest communication. It requires both parties to discuss their expectations clearly and to agree on what accountability looks like for them. This might involve setting specific standards for behavior, discussing the consequences of actions, and regular check-ins to ensure both parties feel supported and respected. However, if attempts to establish mutual accountability fail to yield positive changes, it might be necessary to evaluate the viability of the relationship. Stoicism does not advocate enduring harmful situations indefinitely. Rather, it suggests that we should seek out and maintain relationships that are conducive to our moral and personal growth. Fostering an environment where mutual accountability is prioritized is not just about maintaining harmony. It's about actively cultivating a relationship that respects the Stoic ideals of justice, wisdom, and courage, A relationship that consistently fails to demonstrate these qualities may not be in alignment with the Stoic path to a fulfilled and virtuous life. As we close this chapter of our journey together, remember the wisdom of the Stoics isn't just ancient text. It's a living, breathing guide for navigating the complexities of modern life. Thank you for joining us today since you've made it to the end, and share with us your thoughts in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. See you soon.